Hello everybody and welcome back to a new video. Now, onto today's topic, the true cost of owning a smartphone. Is it a daily need? Let's find out and let's discuss further. Now, first let's talk about the initial investment. When I talk about the initial investment, this would obviously be the smartphone itself. Now, smartphones come in different ranges. Usually, these ranges are about four in total. You've got your budget phones, your mid range, and then you've got your flagship, and you've got flagship premium phones. So, your budget phones would be priced around 45,000 naira to 70,000 naira. Sometimes you can see 80,000 naira as well included in this, but that's usually the range. Now, examples of your budget smartphone would be your Samsung Galaxy A20s and below, your A20s, your A10s. And you can also find the Tecno Spark 8 here, as well as the Infinix Smart. You can get the Infinix Smart 6 as well. Now, what makes a phone a budget phone? Budget phones are phones that are built with usually low quality materials. They are not very durable. Their lifespan depends on the user a lot. And they are always the last to receive software updates, and they are really behind on the latest tech trends and everything and improvements in a phone, but they are great at performing everyday tasks. You just can't push them more than that, otherwise, you know what's gonna happen. So, next up, we have mid range phones. Now, mid range phones can go from 80,000 naira to about 100. No, I'd say they'll go from 90,000 naira to about 180,000 naira. Now, your mid-range phones, this is where you're going to have your Samsung Galaxy A30s to the A50s, and you're also going to get the Redmi Note 11 in here as well. This will be examples of mid-range phones. Now, mid-range phones are right in the middle. They are built with slightly better quality material than your budget phones, but obviously not the really expensive high-end stuff. And they do receive updates and tech little tricks and everything before the budget phones. They can sometimes have the latest improvements and tricks that came out in the year, but maybe they might be a year behind, or usually they lack two specifications compared to their flagship counterpart that may have all, and then they are just lacking two or one. They are great for everyday tasks, but because they usually get better updates, they can do a little more than everyday task. So they can browse for longer, things like that. Maybe they may not suffer overheating as easily. So the next one is a flagship phones. Now, flagship phones are phones that are built with the higher end quality materials. This is where we start seeing glass come into play, and maybe like tricks with color changes and things like that. So not only that, but flagship phones are the first to get any software rollout updates. They are always the top of the developers list before they get to the budget and the mid-range. So your flagship phone gives you that, like I said, better quality. You get more software updates. Usually they have more specifications than the previous ones that I mentioned. So let's say a flagship phone that came out in 2025 is going to have all the features that came out in 2025, compared to a mid-range phone that came out in 2025 is going to be lacking about two features that came out on every phone that year. So this brings me to my next one, the premium flagship. Now, what differentiates the premium flagship from your normal flagship phone? So your premium flagship has everything the flagship has, but imagine a point where they say art and technology collide. You get the most aesthetically pleasing phone imaginable. That is what a premium flagship is. These are phones that maybe market themselves based off of their art. Maybe depending on, they tell themselves like this phone is really thin, or this phone is made from like a very special material, like a very special glass, or perhaps the phone has um, color changing abilities. Maybe if you pour water on it, it changes, it does, interesting things that you've never seen before. That would be a premium flagship. So examples of premium flagship phones would be your iPhone 14 and your Samsung Galaxy S range. In fact, the Samsung S series is all in the flagship category, but the real premium one would be your S23 Ultra. Now, the S23 Ultra is different from the normal S23. The normal S23 and sometimes maybe S23 FE can be found under the regular flagship. Now, premium flagship phones in Nigeria can be found from about 400,000 naira and above. So these are phones that we can be seeing hitting 1 million naira to buy. And then your regular flagship phones can go from 180,000 naira to about 400,000 naira, usually capped around that category. Okay, next up, we've got data and airtime expenses. Now, the average Nigerian spends about 3,000 naira to 10,000 naira monthly on data plans. This is just data plans, okay? And it could be more or less depending on your usage. So, add up airtime for just calls and text messages. This can now give you an additional amount between 2,000 naira to about 5,000 naira a month. Yeah. So that is something to consider when you're getting a phone. And are you going to be the heavy user? What's going on in your life? Do you need data? Sometimes you're going to have to shuffle it around. Some days you're going to be like, you know what, I can't afford airtime. I can't afford to be calling everyone with normal airtime because maybe they are charging me more. I may just call it a day and switch to good old WhatsApp and spend all my money on data. But this is just monthly now. Approximately for a year, if we do the calculation of what I've said so far, a year you can be giving phone networks a nice profit of 36,000 naira to about 120,000 naira for data and airtime expenses. Let's not forget the most important thing, accessories. We noticed a trend where brands just started being a little selfish with their gifts that come when you buy the phone. When you open the box and you're so excited about your new phone and you're expecting, a headphone and maybe this and that, and then you find out that nope, sometimes they omit certain things, or if they have to put everything in there, they're giving you the worst quality imaginable. Yeah. So when it comes to accessories, if you're somebody that ended up buying like let's say a budget phone, you find out that most of the time you're lacking certain things, like maybe you may not have wireless earphones or headphones, and sometimes you may even lack a whole charger adapter head. And these are things that you later on need to go and buy yourself and sort of make up your phone gradually with time. Yeah, and these things are going to cost you additional money, like getting yourself a nice quality phone cover, protector case, and a screen protector. So these things, buying them can cost you somewhere between 5,000 naira to about 10,000 naira. And then on top of the accessories, you also got maintenance to worry about. This has to do with mostly fixing your battery, maybe your charging port. Besides the battery and all those other parts that I mentioned, you've also got the screen of phones to worry about maintaining. Maybe like you're somebody that drops your phone quite frequently, and sometimes you don't like having a cracked screen and you need to go and sort that out, or maybe like a scratched screen is just not the aesthetic for you. So all of that maintenance and repairs can cost you between 10,000 naira to 30,000 naira, depending on the model and the brand of the phone. Now, like I said, the more premium and flagship the phone is, the more quality the materials that it was built with. And that also means that replacing those materials would be really costly in the long run. I know, in case all of this has been sounding like jargon to you so far, let's do a practical example now, you and I together. grab your calculator, whether on your phone or an actual calculator, or maybe even a pen and paper if that's the type of style you like to roll with. Now, let's crunch the numbers realistically for a mid-range phone about for a year. If you were to own a mid-range phone for a year, let's do the cost. So the initial purchase price for that your mid-range phone was 100,000 naira. And then the data and airtime you spent on it so far in a year is 84,000 naira. And then you've got accessories for 7,500. Let's say maintenance wise, so over the full course of the year, you spent 15,000 naira on the phone. Maybe the screen cracked at one point, it fell from your hand. So when we tabulate all of that, put it into your calculator, tabulate it with me, and we get a total of 206,500 naira. Is a smartphone a daily need after all, with everything we've heard so far? Well, I personally would say that it is, in fact, a daily need because a smartphone these days is like your life box. It gives you tools for communication, business, and entertainment. So it is the reason why many people would find value in a smartphone as an investment. However, despite it being a daily need, that doesn't mean you should go and be putting yourself into debt. It is very important when you are choosing a smartphone to consider your needs and your budget. And you have to actually find a phone that fits nicely into these two things and gives you like a love child. I'm going to tell you to know more about the true cost of a smartphone can honestly help you decide and shop better in the long run. And speaking of shopping, you can actually go and do that on our website at www.nigerspider.com. And I promise you, when you follow this route, there's no stress. So with that, I'm going to tell you, you know the drill. If you found this video informative and helpful, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and see you on the next video. Bye.